getting your spirits, wine, or beverage brand into the hands of consumers? Interested in winning medals like a double gold award? Proof Awards, the ultimate beverage competition, can help jumpstart your brand into the hands of beverage buyers. Enter the Proof Awards. Be a part of the Proof Awards marketing campaign with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. All of our judges are buyers, and that's what sets our awards program apart from the others. Our judges head the beverage programs for restaurants, bars, nightclubs, casinos, liquor stores, big box retail, and national wine and spirits distributors. Your brand will be tasted by buyers from more than 15 states across the U.S. We have hundreds of categories to choose from at www.proofawards.com. Be seen by 12 million readers with our partner, Food and Beverage Magazine. Get tasted and rated by buyers. The Proof Awards competition is open for spirits, wine, and beverage brands today. Proof Awards, moving brands into the marketplace. www.proofawards.com.
Welcome to Proof Live, where booze brands in the right hands. On a quest for the best tipple and toast with the most exciting and respected bottlings. Competing for the 100-point Perfect Score Century Award and the double gold and a spot on the top shelf to be sipped, shaken, stirred, and celebrated. Slide up to the bar with the biggest names in the spirits game as they clink glasses with your hostess, legendary connoisseur Jennifer English, for intimate conversations, live tastings, product launches, and the happiest hour there is. Now, broadcasting live from the commodious confines of the swanky Proof Saloon, where the liquid elite meet. Here is your hostess, the Madam of Manhattans, the Duchess of Daiquiris, the Queen of Conviviality, your hostess, James Beard Award winner, Jennifer English.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jennifer English, and I'm the editor-at-large of Proof Magazine and one of the lead judges for the Proof Awards, which are coming up this fall. The 2022 Proof Awards are indeed a benchmark of the best in the business. One of the things that we do here at Proof is we take responsibly very seriously. We always encourage you to not only consume and enjoy responsibly, but to act and think and entertain responsibly. And the idea of being responsible conveys a lot of responsibility. Get it? And so one of the things we celebrate here is the idea of legacy. If you are fortunate enough to have 100-year legacy in recipe, that's the kind of thing that we respect and we take seriously. Because all together in the hospitality industry, in all the dimensions of the hospitality industry that exist, we are united around our table as we clink glasses and as we celebrate the best of the business and the best that anybody makes anywhere. We are on a quest for the irresistible. And today we're going to take you to Dalton, Georgia. And I want to tell you that when I got this story, I said, is this even possible that these things can still exist? And yes, they do. We're going to be tasting with Chuck and Trey, a father and son duo who are keeping an extraordinary legacy alive. I have to tell you, it made me emotional. And so that gives me extra respect and attention to spend with them, to tell their story, to introduce their products to you, and to welcome them to Proof Live. Gentlemen, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Listen, I'm going to raise my glasses. We get started, and I really am excited to introduce the audience to this. But let's talk about your family and where you are in the world. You're in Georgia, and I think it's very easy to make very macro characterizations about traditions in parts of the country that are well known for certain things, like moonshine. But there is a much more sophisticated story about connoisseurship and flavor and tradition that I think gets lost if you just read the headlines. I want to go deeper than the headlines to your story because I think it's a really important one of an American legend. Can you tell us a little bit about how your family got into this business?
One, basically, it was due to just hard times. The way I'd hear stories my entire life growing up where Dad and his brothers and his dad, like my grandpa, they'd tell stories of how they would make whiskey. And they never talked about breaking the law. They never talked about hurting anybody. they always talked about the way they looked at it. They was growing corn most of the time, and they had to pay enough taxes. And most of the time, if they done a honest day's work, a lot of times there wasn't enough money left over. So they would end up taking their cornmeal, cooking a old style mash, and distilling it. And no matter how long that alcohol sat there, it would never go bad, and they could always sell it. Right. You know, they took pride in taking it and getting a high dollar for their illegal product, but they never bragged about hurting anybody. They never bragged and told stories of, you know, being an outlaw. They always considered themselves maybe bending the law and being outside the law, but they never bragged about, you know, being lawbreakers.
Can you talk a little bit for me and for the audience? I've never been to Dalton, Georgia. Of course, I've read about it. I've looked online. I've done my research in preparation for this conversation. But it strikes me as the kind of place that we would much rather get a postcard of description from you. Tell us about Dalton and what's so special about it.
One, Dalton is, I think it's like the 11th largest city in Georgia, but it's still a small town. We're considered the Tennessee Valley. So the closest suburb to us is Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Huh.
So Interstate 75 runs through our county, which is in Whitfield County, and the county seat is Dalton. And that's the reason why we chose the name Dalton Distillery. We love Dalton and proud of it. Our main, one of the main reasons why is when my dad was, his family was making it, they'd make it up in Maryville, Tennessee. Whenever they was selling it, Dalton, Georgia happened to be one of the largest customer bases. Was in Dalton, Georgia, where they deliver their illegal product and sell.
I think we're having a little bit of roboting and buffering going on.
Right, can you hear me?
We can. And I just would like to, if I could, I want to read something about your history from your website while we're getting our technicals. You're described as small craft distilling.
Yes.
And you're in historic downtown Dalton, Georgia, where your family has for over 100 years produced moonshine. You now have it labeled Raymond's Reserve. And you do something else that's pretty remarkable. You take what you have and use what you have, including sunflowers, to create a unique sunflower spirit called TazaRay. And again, I am really eager to help tell this story. Who was the first Raymond to make moonshine?
That's one of the sad things with our family history. We really don't, we didn't keep good records or anything. My dad, he was real close to with his father, of course, which was Alvin James Butler. He had polio and was mainly raised with his uncles. So that was from the Butler side, and most of the Butlers come from Canada.
Huh.
So my grandpa, Alvin James Butler, was born in 1910. So, you know, we've got an old whiskey still. They're illegal still, and it was made around 1945, something like that, where my grandpa and his uncle helped build it. So, you know, we've got a lot of history. We love talking with customers. Right now, we're mainly doing production because we've got a smaller facility and we've kind of outgrown this facility where we're packaging our product. But we have an opportunity. We love to reach out, talk to our customers, you know, and enjoy telling about our brand. What I was telling about. Go ahead.
Well, let's talk about this Responsibly Vodka. I love the idea of Responsibly as a brand name, and I want to get to know how that came about. And then vodka is not moonshine. And there's a big difference between vodka and moonshine. And I think this is a great opportunity because in the glass, one might not be able to tell just from the eyes alone which is which. Maybe there's a little viscosity on the moonshine side. Maybe the distilling cleans it up a little bit. on the 5 times vodka side. But let's talk about those two things. A, what's the difference between vodka and moonshine?
Right. Well, the main thing for us, how we describe it, we distill our moonshine. We distill it basically one pass through the distill. We have a thump keg, so it's distilled twice on one run. And we're wanting to keep on and have that corn flavor or the sunflower flavor or any brandy that we're running. We're wanting that grain or fruit to be prominent in the notes whenever you taste it. The more times you distill it, the smoother it gets, but you're stripping away a lot of the flavor. And that's what I personally don't like. I want to be able to have a strong taste of whatever you're making it out of. But with vodka, you know what? I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, and I've got to pay the bills. And the good thing about vodka, we can run it fast, and it sells fast. So when we got voted #1 distillery in Georgia, we got voted #1 vodka in Georgia. We're very proud of that, excited. And we try to say it in a fun, joking way. No matter how much you drink, you can always say you're drinking responsibly, but we always encourage drinking safely. And if you can't call a friend, call Uber or Lyft. You know, don't drink and drive.
No, it's a great message. I want to talk about the fact that you're one of the few vodkas that I know of that is both award-winning and corn-based. This is a very interesting distinction. You've got gorgeous corn, and you're making a very interesting spirit with it. Trey, how much of this has? And I want to talk about legacy, because when you're named the third, Charles III, which is where Trey comes from. It's a lot of legacy to carry, but you all are doing an amazing job. Can you talk a little bit about the choice to go into a vodka and the choice to get so contemporary and modern with it that you're using the heritage and you're going into a modern category? Because you could have just stayed in moonshine.
Yeah, well, a lot of people love vodka. Vodka is one of the top selling alcoholic beverages in the world. So we made up a vodka for the first time. People loved it. And my dad looked at me and said, all right, we got to come up with a brand name. And I started thinking, what would be a good brand name? And I said, everybody's always told me to drink responsibly my entire life. That's the brand name we're going to go with.
I love that. Well, I'm going to raise my glass. Can you taste us through, for the audience that doesn't have a sip of this? Can you talk about the nose? Can you talk about the aromas and how we got to this particular product? How did you settle on this? How did you adjust the mash to get to this? How did you do all the things you did to get to this? And then we'll taste it together, and you can tell me what we're tasting so we can share it with the audience.
What we work on is trying to be as tasteless and odorless as possible. So when we distill it 6 times, we run it as low and slow as possible on the third time that we're passing it through our still, and we filter it. And even though it's as tasteless and odorless as possible, all of our corn is grown within 30 miles of the distillery. That's something we're excited about. We're Georgia grown, and I still feel and get a sweet hint from that our good corn. So like I said, we're proud of our Georgia grown products, and being 100% corn based. It is high in starch, and that is one of the main things that's noticeable. It still has that sweet finish, I think.
Yeah, the nose on it, it's incredibly soft and see, that's just delicious. And what's interesting is I think you can taste the spirit of the corn, if that makes sense. Not spirit as an alcoholic spirit, right, but the actual corn itself, the essence of the corn itself gives the gift of its presence as a spirit into this. So you can get a little gentle. I have to tell you, you know what I want to, and again, maybe it's the power of suggestion. Whenever I've been in Georgia, I've had a few things that I really love. Of course, I'm going to say barbecue. Of course, I'm going to say fried chicken. but I think this could be the absolutely perfect sip to go along with fried chicken, maybe fried chicken livers, right?
Yeah.
And I've had great tomatoes when I've been in Georgia, and I almost want to have like a grilled bread and tomato sandwich with this. I know that sounds crazy, but this could carry that acid and the sweetness of the tomato with that.
Well, you're saying that is the reason why we're laughing is chicken livers. That was one of my dad's favorites. And then right now, this time of year, tomato sandwich. You know, it's hot here in Georgia. Very. I don't know if y'all. I don't think y'all may be in Arizona or.
It is about as hot here and probably a little less humid, but we've got monsoons that make it almost as moist. And I have to tell you, we call it out here too hot to cook, too hot to eat.
Really? I wished I could lose my appetite in this heat, but sometimes I'm just suffering with comfort and have to drink, and eat.
Well, you want to know when you're going to laugh at this because you're going to think I'm making it up, but one of my from cooking on TV all those years, one of the most famous things that I make, and I was one of the first people to offer this recipe, was taking heirloom tomatoes, really good red tomatoes that taste like tomatoes. And right now, I'm sorry, it's peaches time. And you all are known for your peaches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So if you wafer thin sliced peaches and tomatoes and lay them on a giant platter and then drizzle the whole thing with really thin, alternating tomato, peach, salt and pepper, drizzle of good olive oil and a sprinkle of Maldon salt, and maybe even just a tiny sprinkle of balsamic vinegar. If you take really good country bread or, God forbid, a biscuit, and you put those tomatoes and peaches with some fresh basil on top of that toast or a biscuit, it'd be perfect with this.
I've never had that. I mean, I've had them, separately, of course, but I've never had them together. We'll have to try that.
Tomatoes, peaches, and basil, the three things together. That's the key. Could you add a little mozzarella cheese? Absolutely. But that with grilled bread, you don't feel like you're missing anything if you grill the bread out on the fire.
Yeah.
Well, now, listen, this is not a food show, although it should be. And actually, one of the things I want to compliment you on is this is an incredibly food-friendly vodka.
Well, and I apologize for not doing my research. I spoke with the gentleman, and then he told me to mail that. I would have mailed you the TazaRay. It's a sunflower paste. I would love you to cook with that, and we don't have to talk about it. Just you just send me a message later. But I would have loved if I knew you as a chef. I think the TazaRay is an excellent product to cook with.
Yes.
What's your favorite thing to put it in, and what's your distribution like? Because I love turning people on to things. If it's not at your local liquor store, let's ask for it. This is the kind of show where people are going to ask for things if they don't have it already. Where can we find Dalton Distillery products?
The main thing is that we're proud of. Responsibly is sold in Georgia and Tennessee. So it's in most liquor stores. They can get it at most liquor stores, the vodka. Mm-hmm. TazaRay is only available here at the distillery.
Oh, wow.
We do packaging. We do contract distilling. And this is a great product we're very proud of. Is Chris Toronto. He's one of the outspoken survivors of the U.S. Embassy attack in Benghazi, Libya. Yep. It's really a heartbreaking, sad story. But Chris is a good guy, and we do a vodka for him, and it's Tonto. And we distill it and filter it based on his taste and profile. And that's in California and Colorado distribution, and we have distribution here in Georgia for Tonto vodka.
That's fantastic. Have you all gotten your tasting and reviews on an app called Pix yet?
Never heard of it. No.
I'm going to send you the link for it. So Pix is fantastic because it's peer review, and then it does an analysis of what you like and how you rate things, and then it looks through other people's ratings and say, if you like this, you might like that, and it tells you where to find it. And I think this is a really useful thing for somebody who makes such a food-friendly product. So my last question is, in the tradition of Raymond and 100-year tradition that your family is sharing with our families. What is the house toast at Dalton Distillery?
We've got a bunch of crazy toasts. Some that may not be, best. A lot of times it's a lot of fun. One of our favorites is with our moonshine. I'll let you, maybe you can see that. This is a picture of my dad. And
oh, golly.
Reserve. Yeah. And this is a caramel based. So one doing a dessert, this is real good.
Very good.
So you mix this over heavy cream. We call it the tan hillbilly.
Nice.
White Russian or something. But Dad's favorite toast was moonshine. It may not be the answer, but it'll help you forget the question.
Gentlemen, Dalton Distillery can be found on the World Wide Web. Have we put your website up for everybody to find? If not, it's at daltondistillery.com. I want to thank you for making time to come and be with us. And I look forward to seeing you again and tasting this sunflower spirit that you are literally like among the only people in the world that are making this. This I have to hear more about. Please come back and visit us again.
Great talking to you, Jennifer.
Of course.
Cheers, gentlemen. This was a real treat. Thank you both so very much. How did you meet these fantastic men? Ian, Paul, it's so lovely to have you here with us. Welcome. And I raise my glass to welcome you. We have the Vice President of Marketing from Zing Zang, the company who makes the best not only mixers, but now ready-to-drink cocktails. Extraordinary friend Diane Mina joins us from her home in Las Vegas, where she has...
Whether you are thinking about becoming a restaurateur or you are already in the business, Michael Politz has written a must-read, The Food and Beverage Magazine's Guide to Restaurant Success. Pick up your copy today at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, or wherever fine books are sold.